Good day, grade 7. I hope you are all fine. I am Ma'am Liza, your teacher in English 7. We are now in lesson 2 of quarter 1. I hope you will all listen to our discussion. Here are the objectives for this week. Describe the different literary genres during the pre-colonial period. Express appreciation for sensory images and give the meaning of signs and symbols. These are pictures that show how great we Filipinos are. First one, a typical Filipino birthday celebration. A picture of a family wearing our national costume. And one of the best Filipino trait, which is what we call pagmamano. Filipinos have a great culture and heritage. So you have Ogie Alcacid, Lea Salonga, and Sarah Geronimo. Because we Filipinos are said to be a very musical person. We are famous when it comes to music. There are a lot of Filipino singers that are famous abroad. On every occasion, we Filipinos sing to express our feelings, our aspirations, and our longings. When a child is baptized, the guitar or the bandurria is taken down from its special place on the wall, and then the guests eat to the accompaniment of music. When the Filipino is in love, we have what we call the harana, the proverbial Filipino serenade. As you look on the picture, that is what we call the harana. So in harana, the man and his companions are asked to come up the house. He also calls his love a flower. In the song, May Isang Bulaklak. He compares her to a precious jewel in the song Lulay. If the lovers wins the maiden, we have a song that is dedicated for that one. We called it Paalam sa Pagkadalaga. This is a song intended to be sung for the bride. For the groom, the elders sing a song reminding him of his responsibilities as a husband and father. Indeed, Filipino songs show our people's love for nature. There are songs and admirations of native birds such as maya, pipit, and kulasi. We have also a song called Tagumpay and Sambutani. These are songs of victory over enemies. The Sambutani rings with the shouts and yells of the fighters, and the audience clap their hands and give echoing shouts to the singers. So, what makes a folk song an effective transmitter of messages? Storytelling is one of the world's oldest ways of passing on knowledge from one generation to another. Oral stories in the form of poems and songs entertained and filled our ancestors' time in between work. Folk songs, on the other hand, whose lines are sung rhythmically and repetitively, are one of the most popular forms of entertainment and display not only our ancestors' creativity but also their love for language and music. So we'll be discussing about one of the famous folk song here in the Philippines. So before that, let us unlock difficulties of the vocabulary words. When we say mend, it means repair something that is broken or damaged. Dexterous means showing or having skills, especially with the hands. Slender means gracefully thin. So we'll be discussing about the folk song entitled The Seamstress. Do you know what seamstress is? So when we say seamstress, it is a woman who makes her living in the sewing trade, or a female version of a tailor. Seamstress mends all types of clothing and anything else made of fabric. They also create their own patterns and clothing, sometimes decorating them with detailed embroidery. I'll be reading the English version of the oral story, The Seamstress. You are like a flower that bloomed in a humble garden. You are alone with bright star against a darkened sky. How industriously you work, O seamstress. To the town you are bright star. Your slender but worked roughened fingers are dexterous with fine work. That's why I say, oh seamstress, mend the tear in my heart so that it will be joined again and become whole. So this is from Eugenio D.L. from 2007 Filipino Folk Literature and Anthology from University of the Philippines Press. So let us analyze the oral story. So the seamstress is being compared to a flower that bloomed in a humble garden, and with a lone but bright star against a darkened sky. The seamstress helps the community by mending clothes. So the mood of the song is very passionate and admiring. So it helps our ancestors in their daily lives. So folk songs tell their story. They help transmit important parts of their culture, such as practices and tradition to the next generation. Would the song be more meaningful if it were longer? Why do you say so? As you can see, the song is very short. A song is a lyric poem. Compared with prose, poems are more purposely in terms of length. Its message can be conveyed with fewer words, although adding more lines to the song can add more details. It could also weaken the image already created in the poem. The absence of formal schools did not hinder our ancestors from learning and from transmitting learning. Nature was their classroom. The fruits of nature were their tools, and their imagination was their textbook. They had everything they needed around them, and their resourcefulness enabled them to learn. Along with the folk song came other compositions that displayed our ancestors' prowess in using language as an instrument to educate themselves and the young. Two of these are proverbs and riddles. So we'll be discussing a literary or the different literary genres. Let's start with proverbs, or in Filipino we call it salawikain. These are short but meaningful compositions that contain the wisdom of the old. They seem undecipherable at first, but they touch the heart and mind once decoded and understood. Example: before you say and do, think about it 7 times. So in Filipino, bago mo sabihin at gawin, makapitong iisipin. Without perseverance, there is no reward. Or kung walang tiyaga, walang nilaga. The next one is very familiar to you. We call it riddles or bugtong. These are poetic compositions used to challenge the mind of the audience. For example, lift at night, roll in the morning, or in Tagalog, sa gabi ay dahon, sa araw ay bubong. So the answer is, in Filipino, we call it banig, or a thing that we use or to sleep on, or where we sleep on. The next one. You can see it in the light, but you can see it in the dark. Sa liwanag ay di mo makita, sa dilim ay maliwanag sila. So the answer is stars, or in Tagalog, bituin. Poetry also employs sensory images, a distinctive quality of poetry that makes it distinct from prose. Poetry also employs sensory images. When we say sensory images, it is a distinctive quality of poetry. It uses playful, imaginative, and creative language that makes the reader see, hear, smell, taste, and touch the meaning that the writer wants to convey. Another one is what we call sign and symbol. Symbol in poetry are specific to the meaning of the poem. The second characteristic of signs and symbols make them convenient tools or representations for signage. Some signs are culture-bound, most are universal in nature. For example, what does this sign means? So these are signs and common symbols. So as you can see, owl here represents knowledge or intelligence. Ring or wedding rings as a symbol of long relationship. Flowers here are rose, red rose especially, it symbolizes love. A crown also symbolizes power. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its members. I hope you learned on this lesson. So for this week's activity, this activity must be submitted on Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you should always be reminded to read the directions carefully and always write your name and section. So on your paper, on a one-whole sheet of paper, answer and complete the chart below by giving 5 examples for each form of literature. For folk song, you just only going to write the title. So this is the format of your activity. So copy first the chart and then you may answer. Okay, so for riddles, you need to write the answer for that bugtong or for that riddles. So thank you, grade 7. I hope you understand our lesson for this week. Have a good day.